heads and stuff. There's just a lot to really enjoy here, I think.
Yeah, I really love this. I think that the pirate that he did, I think it is amazing. I think, he created a pirate that is not like any other pirate. That the the thing over the eye, the two other uh the two other head sculpts that he gave with us with this, the hand with all of the different attachments that he gave us with this. I think that it is, I think that this is amazing. This is kind of one of those things that's, one of the things that I really love about this figure, as well as that pauldron. That pauldron is so unique on this that it's unreal.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's
cut out and came back.
Yeah, there's something that happened, and I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened.
Because it says we've only been live for 1 minute and 14 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, we are here, and sorry about that. We are just sorry. Yeah, we missed a few minutes. I did not realize that we were not live. We were talking as we were live.
Yeah, we totally thought we were. I mean, so basically what you can tell people that they ran down and they did the romper room style, telling everybody who was in the chat. So everyone, that's awesome. We talked about Delphina being the new, a new version of the 2.0 body, and just like a cool update to that character. That's pretty much all we missed, right?
That's all they missed. Yeah, we went through everybody. We said hello. We welcomed Jeremy, all the stuff. And now we're just talking about some of the figures. I'm so sorry. I did say go live, and I really thought it went live. Guys, forgive me. It's been a day.
Better late than never.
That's right. We are here.
Here we are.
But this is, I mean, like I said, very cool figure. I think there's, from a customizing standpoint, I think there's some really cool parts in here. There's a lot of new parts, totally new legs, those new weapon arms and stuff, the different heads, multiple different weapons with that cutlass and that harpoon. So I really think that there's a lot to like with this figure. And we said it during the live stream when we revealed it, but absolutely amazing paint work by Sherry on this. She freehanded all those tattoos that are on his, left arm. She has such a steady hand when it comes to that type of line work that it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it is. That is absolutely insane how steady her hand is. I've tried that, and it is hard.
Well, unbelievable that she can do that.
Yeah, she is.
Like, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
So smooth, so deliberate. And what's insane is she does it twice. That's the whole thing. It's not like she does one. Like, if you compare, because we've said this before, but we paint 2 prototypes for everything. One that goes to the factory in China to use as the paint master, one that we keep in New Jersey as reference material. The fact that if you compare the 2 of them and they're so incredibly similar just shows how good she is at doing this paint.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
She's just but yeah, this figure, there's a lot to love about this figure. There's a lot that I really like. I like a lot of and those pants. Those pants are amazing.
Oh, for sure.
And they were almost going to be soft goods at one point. Like, at one point, it would probably have been bare legs and then soft goods. And, as we were going through it, Eric was worried that it wasn't going to read correctly. And he decided to sculpt them, which I love that idea. And, I know there's always a kind of a back and forth about soft goods versus sculpted parts, but a very real component of that is the customizing standpoint, where it's very hard to paint or to change the color of some soft goods. It's a lot easier to throw some paint on sculpted parts. So this does offer some flexibility for the future, not only for us as a studio, but for customizers as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up.
Oh, another one of the Legions ladies. Yep.
She is lovely, Jeremy. Lovely.
Yeah, and she started when we started talking about the wave, Eric knew he wanted to do a female fish character. Like that's what he said. And I didn't know what that meant. And now keep in mind, we already had Koi. So Koi was already at the factory. So when I think like a fish character, that's what I'm imagining, that it's going to be a female fish character. And we talked about lots of different fish. Obviously, koi is based on a koi fish. We talked about other fish that we could do. And we were going back and forth about what it could be. And then the idea to actually do like a mermaid style character came up. And, that really became very appealing because we knew that we could use some of the parts from Basilia, and that quickly replaced, the fish lady. She became this mermaiden type character. And then as we were talking about it, there were people that were bummed out that Basilia didn't come with a pair of legs. And with Basilia, it didn't make any sense because like Basilia is a major character and she doesn't have a form with legs. So if we would have thrown it in there, it would have been solely to say like, oh, you're turning her into a different character. But with this character, we say, well, we know fans like the idea of having either of the options. We can easily write into the lore that the merfolk species in Mythic Legions can actually transform their body either to be bipedal or to have the fish tail. So not only did it add like a cool element for customization or for display, but we were able to also make it part of the lore. And I think it adds a lot to the figure. But yeah, top to bottom, I love this figure. I mean, she's got a beauty about her while still looking, very, very different. Like, again, just like we talked about with the pirate, not what you would expect from a typical mermaid.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of mermaid, you think most people are going to go to the Little Mermaid or something to that nature. So to have something a little different and, her to look as beautiful as she does is amazing. Again, great work. And her face, I love her face. I think Eric did a fantastic job on her face. And I'm guessing Sherry painted her.
Yeah.
She usually gets, I know most of the females. So
yeah, she does the females, but she did this one as well.
Yeah, just amazing. She's, again, Sherry knocked it out of the park with the with the paints. And Eric really, like I said, I like her face a lot.
Yeah, and it's got that. So it's a separate faceplate. It actually works similar to Koi does, where she's got the full head, and then that front part you'll be able to pop off, and you can put kind of her battle helmet on instead if you choose.
Cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool. This is the absolute minimum to need. That's just minimum.
Yeah, this is multiples for sure. Yeah,
He's got like 4 cases of this coming.
I mean, the cool thing with this one too is, if you do get 2, and if you're going to display it in two different forms with either, the legs or the tail, you're going to end up with, an extra set of legs and an extra tail. And, if someone wants to make more of what they imagine that traditional mermaid looks like, you can pop a 2.0 female body on top of this, and you can cobble together, a mermaid that fits that bill for you. So again, I think that there's a lot of possibilities with these parts while still being able to display everything you've got.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So Eben Prosperius, the final figure added to the wave, a figure that almost didn't make it into the wave. I think I'd said this previously, but as we were, this character uses a lot of existing parts. Like, even that face was sculpted during the Rising Suns campaign, the Rising Suns project, with because it uses the scapular two head, so it was sculpted at the same time. We put together this character and weren't sure what we were going to do with them, and at one point we were going to hold them off for something next year, but we really didn't have a good place to drop him, so we ended up just saying, you know what, let's just add him to the wave. And for a lot of people, he's become one of their favorite characters. Yeah, Jesse's saying Son of Prosperity. That's what it was meant to mean. When we were naming him, I was looking up like famous merchants, and it was like stuff like Marco Polo, which that was too on the nose, but I found one that was Ibn something, and I, doing some research, realized that Ibn means son of. So this idea, son of prosperity, or son of riches, son of the coin, that's where his name Ibn Prosperius came from.
That's cool.
And I love the fact that this figure's got two very distinct looks. He's so enrobed in those soft goods. He's got a very Middle Eastern, like almost like the biblical Three Kings. He's got that kind of look to him that if you take off those soft goods and you put on that alternate head, he's got a very different type of appearance to him. So another figure that's got two very distinct looks, that are possible just with the existing parts.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you gave us a stand for the birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that is one of the things that we've needed so badly.
Yeah. And it's a different bird because the other one, as Eric said, was attached to the wrist cuff. The fact that this one is separate from that gives a little more flexibility, so it doesn't always have to be just on that cuff.
Yeah. And I think, some of the customizers will figure out ways to put it on here. The other bird on here as well, like it's taken flight or whatever. I think that it was much needed, and I love that this has that. I mean, the new sword that you have here as well, fantastic, so amazing. Lots of good stuff here.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know if people caught it, but Eric also said during the reveal that is a new bird body, and the wings, we're trying to architect the wings and have them made in such a way that the wings are a separate piece. So this particular bird's not going to come with two different sets of wings, but we are retooling the fully open wings so they would be able to pop into this bird as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. Huh. Yay. Like yeah, lots more customizing.
Go, Tanya.
So Zinjar, he made an appearance at LegionsCon. He was our life-size figure for the year, because as we announced at the show, this is amazingly our 300th Mythic Legions figure. Another imp scale figure's got that treasure chest and some treasures to go in it. Definitely a fun little figure. The imps were very well received in the Horror of Einsamal wave, and similarly, people seem to like this little guy as well. It's funny that he was the first imp scale figure that Eric sculpted. He just fit better in this wave. So we kept the name imp scale because it was so indelibly ingrained in our brains at that point. We'd been saying imp scale for so long that we didn't change it to gnome scale or something. But yeah, this was the first one, and he's a fun addition to the line. He's obviously not meant to be Malfar 2, but he really feels like what Malfar could have been if we would have had, if the studio would have had the flexibility and the resources that we had then. This really feels like it fits that bill.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. And seeing that as a life-size, figure there, that was fantastic. I mean,
that was so
it's
cool.
absolutely amazing. Yeah, I love that.
Malifaux is like probably one of my favorite figures. So seeing this little guy at like the thing, I was like, oh my God.
It was cool to be able to do something. I mean, because the last year we did Scapular, major characters, been around since Wave 1. You know, we've done, Thygar and Zeri, and, we've done major characters that had been introduced well before we did the life size. So, last year when we were talking about the different options, the idea to actually do a figure from the new wave and be able to get that kind of dual reveal of, hey, here's this brand new figure, and oh, it's a life size out there, that worked really well. And I say this all the time, that there's magic that happens at Four Horsemen Studios frequently that we don't even plan it, and it just, things line up so perfectly. We did not put this in the slot of the reveals to be the 300th figure. Like, when I did the reveal order, I didn't realize that the fourth reveal was figure number 300. It wasn't until I was honestly editing the website and I realized, oh, we broke 300 with this wave, that made me say, I wonder what the 300th figure is. It became Zinjar. And then it was like, you got to be kidding me. That's the figure we're doing as the life size. Everything, like, none of that was intentional. Like, it really feels like, oh, you made that the 300th, so you did it as the life size. These were all separate decisions that just somehow all came together to be perfect.
That is amazing.
It happens.
Amazing.
It happens all the time. I always say, I read a bunch of books about like long distance hiking, like the Appalachian Trail and stuff. And there's something that long distance hikers talk about called trail magic, where it's almost like that moment where you're at your lowest and you absolutely just need something to get you over that hump. Something happens. You meet somebody, they give you that encouragement, they give you some food, they give you whatever it is. There are these moments, they say, that happen on the trail that come at incredibly opportune times. And they call it trail magic. And I've always thought of that concept of trail magic because I see it in a very different way with what happens with the Four Horsemen Studios all the time, where things just line up so perfectly. And you're almost like, we couldn't have planned it that perfectly. And the fact that it just slotted into place the way it did it's trail magic.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So cool.
Nobu. So one of the ones I was the most, like, I don't want to say concerned, but I wasn't sure how the audience would react to this figure. It was intentionally put right after Delphina to give people whiplash, so they could literally go from something safe and familiar and, expected, to something totally left field that I don't think anyone was expecting, an anthropomorphic manta ray. But literally one of the most well received figures in the wave. Like, the amount of fan reaction to it, the amount of people at LegionsCon that were telling us how much they loved this character. Really, really excited to see so many people embrace, what is admittedly one of Eric's more out there style designs.
And for me, it was like, oh, wow, look at that. You can do that? Oh, man, that's cool.
Yes.
So dope.
And I think this wave, the switch from Delphina to Mobu, I think, is very indicative of this wave, because we are at a point, as I've said before, that, we're trying to appeal to our existing fan base who loves the stuff we've already done. They love the knights and the skeletons and the goblins and dwarves and so on and so forth. But we also want to explore new ideas, and we want to bring people in with stuff that they just may not have expected, stuff they haven't seen anyone do before. So being able to kind of balance both of those worlds, I think we're going to see as we go forward, there's going to be more waves where there's going to be some figures in it that might not be for you, but there's going to be others you absolutely love. But pardon the fishing pun, it's going to allow us to cast a wider net and bring more people into the realm of mythos. And at the end of the day, that's very important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys have to sell figures in order to keep going. So, but yeah, I mean, but it's really cool too, the way that I think Eric's mind works in order to create a character like this. Make him so unique in a way, like just freaking awesome. I mean, you really don't get the scope of what it's actually going to, I mean, seeing it in the case and actually getting the 360 of it and looking at it and getting the close-up eye of it to see how it's all going to work. Like, how in the world his mind works to put all of that together to make this character is, to me, just phenomenal.
The armor parts on this character with, the woven pieces and the seagrass and there's just so much organic elements that are in this character that when you get this in hand and you pour over the details, I think you'll really appreciate what Eric put into this particular figure. I mean, the details he puts into every figure are nothing short of amazing, but this is definitely one that you look at, and knowing Eric as well as I do, this is one I look at and I'm like, oh yeah, he had fun with this. Like he really, really enjoyed putting this character together.
Now the leg pieces and the arm pieces, are those like detachable? Are those separate than the arms and the legs? Or are those part of the like armor?
I'm actually not sure. I mean, it uses the body that we have on the Cosmic Legions Veblians, which they have bare arms and legs. So my gut tells me that those are separate pieces that can slide off and you can make it bare, but Eric might have, just because that's what he started with doesn't mean that he maintained that the whole way. Those could be separate plug-in pieces the way that most of the armor goes. So those are like a lot of the questions about what the fits are and what the builds are. Those are ones that I always defer to Joe on, because Joe's the one that really handles all the prototypes. So when Joe and I get around to doing a pop and swap show, we'll be able to ask him more of those questions and determine exactly what the fits are.
Yeah. But yeah, this character is amazing. I think it is fun. I think it is so unique. I mean, just absolutely unique. And sure. I can't imagine how much fun Eric had doing it. And of course the fish in the basket and all the stuff that comes with it, that hook. I mean, everything is just amazing here. I just love this.
Yeah, there's a lot of storytelling in these accessories.
There really is.
I love these.
Yeah, gonna make great dios. Like you can make your own little. Yeah. I mean, it'll be fun. Wish it came with a play set, because it would be a fun play set. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like I see this as a fun play set. But yeah, these are fantastic.
Oh, for sure.
So probably my favorite in the wave, and certainly Big Dub's favorite in the wave. Yeah, I mean, and I think it's Eric's favorite too. Eric, he had mentioned during the live stream that, he's had a walrus character that he's wanted to do for years. Not exactly this character, but certainly an anthropomorphic walrus. So to be able to do this particular figure was, a bit of a labor of love for Eric. And he's going to be a very, very fun figure in hand for sure. And I love some of the new ideas being presented here. The fact that this is a brute scale, but with like ogre scale lower arms, that transition from the brute elbow, which is also 1.0 compatible, to those ogre hands to get those really thick lower arms. It gives it a very unique style look here. And then with the multiple heads and the weapon, the big fish, the gore fish. Yeah, just definitely my favorite of the wave.
I think the fish is my favorite part.
Yeah. Eric Miller painted this one. He did an absolutely wonderful job.
He really did. And I love that you gave him not only you gave him the broken tusk and the small tusk, but you can have the 2 small tusk, 2 long tusks. So there's a lot of options when you're, putting him together, how you want him to look as well.
I don't know if we said this, but those are actually Ganesha's tusks.
Really?
They are, yeah. It's Eric had sculpted a couple different options for Ganesha with the tusks. So when it came to do the walrus, it was like, oh, wait a minute, can I use those? And he realized early on that they worked. So those are just repurposed Ganesha pieces.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Super
but
cool.
to give us all of those options so you can have, whatever option you want to work is amazing.
Again, I mean, just the idea, because there's a lot of people that love asymmetry. Visually, right. It is very interesting, but there's also a lot of people that really dislike the asymmetrical look. So something as simple as the broken tusk versus the 2 full tusks, that's going to please both of those camps. And it's such an incredibly small addition to add there.
Right. Yeah.
What a great addition to add.
Yes, it is. and the use of the real rope and everything that you guys have done with this wave as well. A lot of those really cool, additions that you guys have added in here that are going to be amazing with this wave.
One of the things I love that Eric's been doing lately is like non-weapon accessories, because early on in the wave, it was all about the armory, and every figure came with a handful of weapons, swords and shields and so forth. But you look at this figure and he's loaded out with accessories, but he's got only one item that would technically be considered a weapon, and that's his giant harpoon. But he's still loaded out with those fishing floats and that flask he's got there, the big gore fish and so forth, the rope. So I love the fact that we're getting these elements, and I think we saw it really for the first time in the Poxus wave with like the potions and stuff like that. But these clip-on accessories or loop-on accessories that really flesh out, I think, the visual interest of these characters is one of, in my opinion, the coolest additions that we've had to the Mythic Legions line as of late.
Yeah, I am in total agreement. And the fact that you guys can use the Ganesha body, the belly to make it look amazing. I mean, this just really looks amazing.
Thank you. Vetus Prime, the Strategist Prime of Leandor, another very popular figure that really we were excited to be able to revisit again. And again, once again, another figure that, Vetus from that first wave had to make use of so many existing parts. The head was really the sole new part on that figure. So for Eric to be able to revisit this character, and I mean, interestingly, a lot of the parts on this figure weren't newly sculpted for Vetus. Those sandaled feet, the armored torso. He had done a lot of these recently with the Golden Pride of Leandor, but they were such like logical additions to this particular character that I feel like we now have the fully realized Vetus that we wanted. And we've got the unhelmeted look, which that's something that even as a fan early on, I wanted more characters that didn't have their helmets on. So to be able to bring that into the line now is very exciting.
Well, as you know, I have painted several of these, and yep. The original version, and yep. I love that. Like, to me, it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite to paint, but it's one of my favorites because the belt is, you know, very not like a lot of the others. So I've loved painting that and giving him different looks and stuff, but having this head where this helmet is removable, to me, that is like, that's perfection.
Yeah.
So, you know, the hair comes off, the helmet goes on. And so you have the eyes behind it, because now you don't have any of that. All of that is just plain. So for me, that was probably one of the best upgrades as far as, you know, looking forward to getting this. Another one that I'm probably going to get a case of.
I love the fact that Eric, even though you've got that look where the helmet goes on and you can see the eyes and the face, you know, in the like in the visor area, we've also got that black insert that if you want that fully blacked out look, you know,
you can do that as well.
Yeah. And it just, you know, that's those small attentions to detail, I think, are really what sets some of this stuff apart.
Yeah. But everything about this figure, I mean, all the upgrades, everything that you gave him, again, amazing.
For sure.
I can't wait to get this one in hand. This is going to be fantastic.
Down to the sandals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the sandals felt like, you know, that's what we wanted to include, but we also wanted to make sure that we had the armored feet. So if someone wanted to go with the more traditional like look that we did for Vetus in the first wave, you know, you can achieve kind of that look as well here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, talking to Kevin, he was like, yeah, but they all probably wore sandals back in that time. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
You get them both.
Yeah. Oh, great character. So exciting.
Oh, there he is, the big guy. So this, I think that our post for Bulwark is the most liked post we've ever had on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this thing, so many people, the team was out at DesignerCon this weekend, and a number of people out there, you know, artists and creators were talking about how much they love this figure. You know, Eric wanted to do a big crab monster, and that's how he said it at first. Like at first when he said, I want to do a crab monster, I didn't even know if it was going to be like a bipedal character the way it was. At one point, I thought there was a point where I thought it could just be a giant crab, like a giant monster crab. So when he finally showed this, it was all that and more. The fact that it's a character, a personality, you know, we made him a good guy. You know, you look at this character and immediately it reads as, you know, a villain character, a big brutish muscle character. And he's a muscle character, but he's one of the good guys. So we had some fun with Bulwark, and he is, as of right now, he is the most popular one in the wave.
Yeah, he is fantastic. And I'm so glad that you gave us parts and pieces to mix with
Slog.
Yeah. It was there. It was, I swear. Because I was never into cosmic. I've never been into sci-fi. It's not been one of the things that I've really loved. My husband has loved it. And of course, when I got my hands on Slog, he ended up being like, you know, he sits on my desk. He is just a beefy, meaty, you know, a handful of goodness right there. And so the fact that I love him so much, it's really exciting that now we have another Slog-sized character, and this is fantastic.
And I can tell you, I've seen these parts mixed onto Slog, and it's wild. It's very, very wild.
Can't wait.
It's insane. I had a picture that when it came off the printer, when the shell came off the printer, George sent me a photo, texted me a photo that day, and he was like, "What the hell?" And I mean, it's like a crab shell. I mean, it's the size of a real animal. It was like a horseshoe crab in his hand that just came off the printer. And I was just like, I had seen the renders of it. I knew what the figure looked like, but in photos, you don't get the size context. So I didn't know how big it was going to be until I saw George holding that back shell. And that was the moment that I was just like, oh my goodness, this thing is going to be gigantic.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool.
Hang tights.
No problem.
That's it.
Yep,
All right.
Wave.
That's the wave. We do have a giveaway tonight.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yay.
I've been informed. They are torches from Brian Lynn, the LegionsCon exclusive torches. I'm working on pulling them up now, but we can do that.
I have some displayed in my collection along with the very cool Crossroads Dio that Brian made for display at LegionsCon. At the LegionsCon booth, we displayed the Crossroads figures in Brian's Dio, and it just so happened to come home with me, and it's living over in my collection.
Oh, that's amazing.
Many of Brian's torches and dios, and we love them all.
Very cool.
And by we, I mean Ryan. I just live here.
That is awesome. And by the way, if you want to enter, and we found this out with the 24-hour live stream, if you want to enter the giveaway, you have to jump off of Jeremy's channel and jump onto Legions Ladies Live to enter the code. You can jump back over there after you do that, but you can't win unless you put it in under Legions Ladies Live.
Or you can just stay here. It's the exact same live stream on both of them. So
yeah, but just there are several that are over there. I just want them to know that they're not going to be able to enter the giveaway unless they're on the Legions Ladies live stream.
Makes sense.
Okay. Oh, Brian. Yeah. And these are fantastic. We got a set of these as well. We cannot wait to utilize them. No. They're amazing.
I'm pulling up the giveaway tool. Let's see. We should make the giveaway. Hashtag Carver Rules.
There you go.
Like AARVAR, capital RULEZ. I'll just pull it up on the thing. Make it a lot easier. I'm like not this talented. There we go.
You're doing good tonight.
Thanks. It's a work in progress. I can't figure out the whole Google slide thing, so screen sharing is my way to go.
All right. So hashtag Carver Rules. Again, make sure that you are on the Legions Ladies Live site. If you are on Jeremy's, it will not pick up.
We got 30 in there so far.
Awesome.
Ooh. All right, I got what we can look at next.
What's next?
Next up, we've got the role-playing figure.
Yeah. So we shared this earlier this week, and it was one of the One of the extra pieces of news that we talked about at LegionsCon, I mean, the role-playing game had, as expected, a pretty awesome presence at LegionsCon this year. We had a number of, game sessions that were running all throughout the weekend. A number of people got to either play or watch one of the games. But, one of the things we also wanted to let people in on was what some of our plans are for the figures. And while there's still plenty to reveal from that perspective, this was an example that we showed. And, what we had mentioned was the torso and the waist piece and loin piece here. While those may look like soft goods, those are all sculpted pieces that are new on this figure. And it's a very practical reason why we're doing that. Soft goods add a lot of cost. The tailored soft goods are very expensive. And our goal with some of these role-playing game figures, because, we want this game in friendly neighborhood game shops. We want you to be able to walk into a hobby shop, but we want new fans who don't know who Mythic Legions or what Mythic Legions is to walk into a hobby shop and see this game and see these figures. So one of the things we've been working on is how we can get these in at a $30 price point. And obviously soft good, sacrificing the soft goods was one of the things we have to do. So we might see soft goods upgrade packs. So for those who want to actually add soft goods instead of the sculpted, that may be an option as well. One of the things I think is going to be exciting about the role-playing figures is more of an a la carte style experience where instead of one figure that's got so many extra parts that gives you so many options, you're going to see a lot fewer options at a lower price in the base figures. But then stuff like head packs and weapon packs and soft good upgrade packs that will allow those who choose to do so to change around their figure and kind of get to some of those other character looks.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that I love about this is, if you are playing a knight as a role-playing game and your color isn't red, it happens to be blue or purple or yellow or whatever color that you choose, then having the what looks like soft goods not be soft goods, actually be plastic, that's an easy paint, fix to match it up to your character.
Sure.
So I think having that option, because so many people are used to painting the small figures the way that they want, this gives you the option to do the same, to customize it to your character and who you want it to be.
Absolutely. And I really do think that a fun part of this game is going to be people getting their base player figure and upgrading them and, adding new weapons or new armor or new whatever, whether it's buying other pieces to upgrade them, whether it's mixing and matching with other figures in the line, or whether, like you just mentioned, it's painting. We really want to offer those options that people can, just as their character evolves on their journey, their, essential avatar, their figure player can evolve as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then what we showed here was what we call the character pack. So, you've got a paladin, which is one of the, base professions in the game. We call them professions as opposed to classes, but anyone who's like an old school Dungeons and Dragons player, they're basically the same thing. So you get that, say you don't want to play a paladin, you want to play a cleric. There is a cleric character pack where you add these pieces. They're, made, while they'll fit on a bunch of figures, they're at least color wise made to go with that base paladin. And then you add them to the paladin and you can get a whole new, profession out of it where you now have a cleric figure.
That is so cool. I think, and that's such a great idea.
And it's just, a normal Mythic Legions figure, all these parts would just be in the pack. Like, right. It would just be, and I mean, we saw that with the San Diego Comic-Con figure, right? All these things were in that one pack. So realistically, what we're doing is, again, going with more of an a la carte style experience, so that base figure comes in at a lower price point, which is going to be a lot more palatable for new buyers in those store type environments.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I know that you guys are going to offer the game starting in February via Kickstarter.
Yep.
And this figure, as well as the Paladin that was released at San Diego Comic-Con, all of those will be available as options in the Kickstarter. Is that correct?
So the San Diego Paladin will be in the Kickstarter. It will be one of the pledge levels. There will be something that you can get that figure with, but those figures are already produced. So that is not going to be an unlimited level. All the other stuff isn't produced yet. So it will be like a normal pre-order, but the San Diego Paladin will be available in some fashion in the Kickstarter, just as a more limited item.
Gotcha. Now, I see Kenny just joined and he says, can you buy this without?
Yeah, of course.
Buying the figure? Yeah.
And again, that's part of the whole idea of this more a la carte experience is you don't have to buy the $50 figure to get these type of pieces. We're hoping the character packs are going to be $14.99. Again, we're going to have weapon packs and head packs and all that. If for whatever reason you just want the cleric pack because you've got other Mythic Legions figures and you want to put this on one of those figures, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Oh. Ooh, look at that.
And those are the same base figure, just one outfitted with what's essentially the Paladin head and sword, and then one fitted with the parts that come with the cleric character pack.
Oh, I'm excited for these. All right, let's see what else we got. Well, this is going to be amazing.
The Arethyr statue that I don't know if you guys got a chance to spend some time at the sideshow table at LegionsCon, but yeah, not only was it awesome to have Jesse and Mike from Sideshow there, they were blown away. Jesse's worked for Sideshow for 20 years, Mike a little bit less than that. But I was talking to Jesse, and I've worked with Jesse on this project. He's been kind of our, one of our project managers on this engagement since the very beginning. So I've worked with Jesse for a year now, and to have him come out and say that, dude, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been to a lot of conventions. I've never seen a show like LegionsCon. They were legitimately blown away. Think about that. They work for Sideshow Collectibles. Sideshow Collectibles is a big, major company. You look at their licenses and they're doing Star Wars and Predator and, you name it, all these big licenses. For them to come out and be that pumped on Mythic Legions in the Legions community was one of the super cool aspects for me of the LegionsCon experience this year. And full on statues are not for everybody. This is a high priced item. It's $645. I love the fact that we're entering this, pardon the pun, but this new realm with a new kind of collectible, because this is the type of thing that is going to open the doors to some people that are statue collectors that they have no idea who Arethyr is. But the fact that this is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, this is the personification of war, that's going to introduce them to our world. And that is important. And for those in our community that are in a position to add this to this collection, their collection, this is a show-stopping style piece.
Yeah, this is... And they were all really cool, and I did love this one, painted up, all the detail, but Alithia just stole my breath. Absolutely stole my breath.
One of the things you didn't you wouldn't have seen it at the show, because the other characters were just presented in their gray prototype forms.
Right.
But just like Aether has the translucency in the flames, every one of them has translucency in it. So for Alithia, like the hanging like scales that she has off the soul spiller and off her back, that like magic that was coming up is going to be like red translucent, like this blood magic kind of flowing up. So very, very cool once that's going to be fully realized.
Yeah. I'm not a statue person, but it makes me want to be a statue person.
It really did. I mean, I would not think of myself as being a statue type of collector, but seeing those in person, it is really making me think, well, could I do a statue? Could I invest that? And, so Alithia was beautiful. I mean, she was gorgeous, and I cannot wait to see her painted up. I think it's going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
We could, what we could do? Oh, here's the dates for next year too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean that was
3 years, Jeremy. How did that feel?
Oh,
I mean, scary a little bit, because goodness knows what next year is going to look like in this world, much less 3 years from now. I mean, this is a big commitment. But we've seen other shows struggle year in and year out, and people not know if they're going to be back or where they're going to be and when it's going to be. We've seen shows move months and everything. There's so much uncertainty with shows like that we felt that it was important for us to show the community that LegionsCon is not going anywhere. We've got our location, we've got our dates. Like we want to know that we want people to know that we are committed to this show and to doing this year in and year out. So, I mean, plus there's also just a very real practical sense of like, we started negotiating this, a month before LegionsCon this year. And that's typically what we're doing so we can announce at LegionsCon the next year. And it ends up being a very challenging time because we're getting ready for the biggest week of our year at a moment where we're also negotiating for next year. So it ends up being just a pain. So to be able to lock in 3 years, we've got all the pricing, all the dates, everything is there. That allows us to kind of breathe a little easier for the next couple years. And the fact that it's going to take us through 2028, which will be the 10th LegionsCon event, is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah. I'm so excited. And I love that hotel. I love,
if the calendars for work went out that far, I'd already request off.
We love the hotel too, Tanya, and that's why we wanted to do this. I mean, it's worth mentioning that, there is a sacrifice by doing this. We had a lot of people over the weekend say like, oh, you guys are going to have to, go to the Javits Center next. You're going to have to grow. And we don't want to do that. Like, there is something so special about the way LegionsCon is right now is, it's crowded. The rooms sell out quickly. I have no more space for vendors. Like those are all very realistic challenges, but taking it to a bigger venue, while it's going to solve some of those challenges, it's going to introduce a whole bunch of other ones. And being able to be in that hotel for the 4 days or the 5 days or however long people decide to join us for that particular week, it's amazing to be able to do that. So we had to make the very real decision of, you know what, this is our home. We're going to stay here with all those challenges. We'd rather be that kind of cool indie band that's packing the clubs and playing awesome venues than trying to fill arenas and just it ends up like losing the magic of what they once had.
Yeah. The venue, being able to hang out with everybody in the in the lobby, having everybody close, being able to eat there, having the food right there, for us so we don't have to go out. Just being, and I think that's one of the things that I love about it most is just when you go, you are surrounded, like you are absolutely encapsulated in Legions and LegionsCon from the time you step through the door until the time you leave. And you don't feel like you have to go out to do anything. You can just stay there and hang with your friends and family. So to me, that's the best part.
Everything's there. And, if you do need, there are other things close by, like, I know there's the Wawa and everything. There's a Walmart close by. So that stuff is there. We live in an environment right now where, you can DoorDash some stuff if you actually, don't want to eat at the pub or whatever. Yeah. But there's so many options so close by there. I've said this before that, the one thing I liked about the year that we did it at the La Quinta was that there were some restaurants and so forth within walking distance. That's a little bit of a sacrifice here, but it's a minor sacrifice for everything else we get. And the fact that not only do we love the hotel, but they love us, that is super important because I'll tell you, we definitely are a unique group of people, and they are so happy to have us and so understanding. Every time I walk in to that hotel and they're like, oh my goodness, we love your people so much. We can't wait for next year. I don't know if you saw it, but like there were a number of workers at the hotel walking the floor of LegionsCon, taking pictures of stuff. Like they genuinely love it.
That's fantastic.
And they're so sweet. Like even when you like go by, you're like, hi. They're like, hello.
Oh, I'm telling you, they absolutely love our group. They tell me time and time again how much they love our group.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Next. This guy.
Now, how awesome was this, Jeremy?
This was super cool to be able to reveal. I'm curious, the two of you, were either of you familiar with Archon, the crew, or Joe Manganiello before our reveal weekend?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, so neither of you.
I know who he was because Rye explained it, but once he explained it, then I knew who he was, but beforehand I did not.
So this was definitely exciting. Joe obviously having his Hollywood connections and, just simply being such a prominent fixture in kind of like Dungeons and Dragons and role playing in modern fantasy. Like it was very cool to be able to work with him on this project and bring his character, a character that means so much to him, to life. And, when we were talking about Infinite Legions and I said there are going to be characters that have never been seen in action figure form that we're going to bring to life with Infinite Legions. This was one I was talking about because while they've done minis of Archon over the past and, his crew, the Dark Order, there's never been a fully articulated figure. So it's an awesome figure. It's brute scale. It's super chunky and everything. Even if you don't know the character and Joe's story and all that, this is going to fit perfectly well alongside your other Mythic Legions. And then if you do know all the other stuff or you discover it, I think it's going to make it an even cooler figure. And this is just the first one. Like, this is not a one and done. I mentioned Archon and the Dark Order. Joe's got a number of other characters as part of this kind of universe. And we're excited to bring all of them into Infinite Legions.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was, but when I saw this character, I fell in love with it. So then it made me say, okay, who is this character? Yeah. And so then I started doing the research and found out who he was and what was going on. And I think Jeremy says it, not Jeremy, Jesse says it well. He says a Critical Role character was not on my bingo card for G-Con. I mean, like, what a surprise.
He's played. I mean, there's a wonderful video. There's like in role-playing circles, there was a particular adventure with Critical Role where Joe was guesting with them and Joe was playing Archon, where he actually gets that magically cursed hand that you see in this photo here. Look up on YouTube. Joe talking about that experience, like that game, it's amazing. It's so cool to hear him talk about it, because even if you don't know the character, you're not into role playing, even if this is not something that's normally in your purview, just hearing the passion that he talks about that, it's super exciting. And to be able to bring that into action figure form is very cool.
Yeah. And the fact that he already knew who the Horseman was and knew the Legion's line. I mean,
oh yeah,
it sounds like he was a fan before this ever happened.
Yeah. So Joe's been collecting our stuff for a few years. We've been talking to Joe. We've been talking to Joe about doing something together for a few years now. This project's been going on for over a year, but we were talking to Joe a few years before that of finding a way to make something happen. And understandably, Joe's got a very hectic schedule. Finding the right time to get this, off the ground took a little time, but yeah, I mean, it was super cool. I mean, Joe reached out to us to express his admiration for what we do and say that he wanted to work together. And that is so Infinite Legions. Like, this was not us chasing a license. This was not us being like, what would be cool? Let's try to see if we can get this license. This was genuinely him coming to us and saying, I love your work. I'd love to work with you. And us being like, dude, your character's super awesome. The story that you have, the things that have happened, we would love to do a figure of this. And there was right out of the gate that kind of desire to work together that was outside of any of the, legal licensing type stuff that you normally would have to deal with.
Yeah. So amazing. Looks like we have a super chat.
Yep. From Solar Sinner at Legions Ladies Live. Great coverage on the show tonight. At Jeremy, I love what you said about wanting to keep the intimacy and magic of LegionsCon. Very glad to hear about the 3-year commitment. Fist bump.
Yeah, there is something so magic about that event, and we don't, every single year we're going to try to learn lessons from the previous year to see how we can improve it. But they're going to be small but meaningful changes, hopefully. We are well aware of how lucky we are to have this incredible event that we're able to bring to everyone every year. And we want to preserve that as much as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
Is that all the news that we have, or is there more?
Oh, yep, that's it.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, I can take it off the screen. Hang
That
tight.
was a lot of news.
Well, there was a lot going on. You guys are doing the in-stock sale as well. I know the Barbarian sold out. But you have a lot of other figures, and you put figures up today. Is that right?
Yeah. So,
right.
So the first part, yes, the Barbarian sold out. So the sale went live on Saturday, and the Barbarian, we limited the Barbarian per person, and it sold out in about 20 minutes. Much, much quicker than any of us expected. We've had that figure at every show we've done all year, with MegaCon being the one exception because it wasn't in hand when we did MegaCon. But every other show from ZoloCon forward, we've had this figure. And some recent shows like ToyCon New Jersey that we did recently, or ChrisCon that I did a few months ago, like, we packed up Legendary Barbarians. We did not sell out at the show. So there was a feeling that like, okay, because we made a lot of these figures and we sold a lot of these figures, and we were like, okay, even people that haven't gotten to shows, we think a lot of people have gotten their hands on one. We still had a good quantity. Like, it wasn't like we put up like 100 of these figures. There were a lot of these figures that went for sale. The limit of 3, it's always a balance, right? Our job is to sell toys. We've had times that we limit something to 1 per person, and then it doesn't sell out, and I have them available months and months later. And you ask yourself, like, hey, if I wouldn't have set that limit, would people have ordered more up front? But because they couldn't get it at that first pass, then they're like, yeah, you know what? I'll just make do with the 1. So at the end of the day, we've got to find that balance. He comes with 3 different hair colors. So we said, you know what? Some people want the 3 different options. We'll do a limit of 3. That still felt like a reasonable number. But yeah, we underestimated how desirable it was still going to be. And we saw something like this not that long ago with the Skeleton Legion Builder. We put that up and that sold out really fast. So all I can tell people is we totally understand that there is a demand for the Legendary Barbarian. We're already putting plans into place to see how we can, meet that demand in a way that's going to make as many people happy as possible.
And then today you put up a lot of figure obscuras, and then today you posted that you guys put up some
tactics figures.
Tactics, that you guys found. So
So I was going to say, you might know that we're going to be moving, but I think that news was actually dropped on your show. Jim shared on your show a short time ago that we're going to be moving. So yeah, we are in the process of moving the studio. We're not moving far. It's very close to where we are now, but in the process of just digging out some stuff, making room. Anything that we sell now means it's stuff we don't have to move to the new location. Yeah. So we brought a bunch of the tactics figures to LegionsCon. We still had a small amount left, so we threw them all up on Store Horseman today. I think when this show started, there were still a couple of them left, but a few of the sets had sold out.
And they are wonderful starter sets. So if you are just getting into it, it is a great set to go grab.
For sure.
Yeah, so good. All right. So we have covered most of the news. Wanted to show real quick. They are one of our sponsors. Dragon's Horde is amazing. They are having a buy 2 get 1 free for I think it is the holiday season. I don't know how long it's going to go, but dragonshordenc.com if you want to order online, or if you are in the Greensboro area, please go by and see them. They are awesome and we love them. Okay, that's that. Jeremy, let's talk LegionsCon.
Okay, what do you want to know?
You are in the position where you go around and people talk to you in ways that they may not talk to everybody. And so you hear a lot of the stories and stuff that really, really touch your heart. And those stories, I've heard some of those stories as well. And then, lots of things that go on that really amaze us every year about LegionsCon. Just kind of wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about some of the things that you have heard and some of the people that have talked to you about what LegionsCon has meant to them, how it changed them, what it means to them to be able to come. I know you have the best stories because everybody seeks you out and talks to you. And this is a good time to talk about that. I think the people the toys are fabulous.
Sure.
But the community and the people are what make this
without a doubt
so good.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to pick your brain about them, about what people told you, like what they loved, what, there was a lot of firsts this year.
Yeah.
More. The two things that were dramatically noticeably different this year were the number of walk-ins that we had. So we had more than 10 times the amount of, well more than 10 times, almost 20 times the amount of walk-ins this year than we had last year. So, you think about that and we've got our diehards, right? We've got the people that are going to show up at the hotel on Thursday or Wednesday or Monday, and they're going to make a week of it. And, they're so excited for the LegionsCon, the Mythic Week experience. But the fact that we're seeing this many walk-ins on the Saturday means that word of the show is spreading, and you're getting a lot of people that are more casual Legions fans or more general toy fans that are like, I've heard such good things about this show. I'm not ready to commit to an entire weekend with them, but let me go check it out on Saturday. So to see that amount of walk-ins was incredible. But whether it was the walk-ins or whether it was, the full weekend attendees, the amount of people that had these on that were, had those first time LegionsCon buttons, which big props to Chris for making these, Chris Polanski for doing those. That was awesome. To see that amount of people. And anytime that I would talk to someone, and whether they had that pin on or not, and I would ask them, so this is your first one, what do you think? Just across the board, I got such great comments from people who were telling me kind of it's all real, all the hype, everything I've heard from everybody. Because we're very cultish in the way that we talk about LegionsCon and Legions community and stuff like that. If you're on the outside looking in, it almost feels like this is too good to be true. And then you go there and you feel the genuine sense of warmth and welcoming and friendship that permeates that entire building. And I had multiple people just very, in almost a stunned admission, say this is exactly what you said it was going to be. You told me it was going to be like this, and yet I was still unprepared to experience it. And obviously they're very happy as they say that, because it has lived up to all their expectations. So it was super cool to see that amount of new fans at the show this year.
Yeah, the amount of new people that were in the cabal that were saying, "Hey, yep, I'm new. This is going to be my first LegionsCon." That was amazing. And like you said, the Saturday, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That was insane.
It was a lot. My scariest time of the weekend was 8:30 on Saturday morning, because at 8:30 we were 30 minutes away from opening the doors, but everyone who was coming was there. So all of the hallways are jam-packed. The lines are now getting so long that they're starting to cross into each other, and people don't know what line they're in anymore. But it's not time to open up the door. So I've got this giant ballroom that can accommodate all these people that only have exhibitors in there, because I haven't opened doors yet. That was the moment that I had the most stress, just wanting to get those doors opened and start to disperse those crowds amongst the other places. But yeah, I mean, it was incredible to see everybody there. And to answer your other question, I mean, without going naming names and stuff like that, because a lot of these stories are privately shared, and it's not my place to name who said it, but it's more of the same. It's more of the same type of stuff we hear. And I don't say that with any negativity at all. I love hearing these type of stories, but people who this is an escape for them in the best possible way. You know, we everyone, you've probably heard the phrase, everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. And, you know, every one of us have challenges in our life, whether it's job or health or family or finances, you know, to be in that building and feel that sense of belonging and that sense of escape for all of this, that means a lot to so many people. And I mean, I say this all the time, that none of us at Four Horsemen Studios set out for this. Like, you know, we wanted to make toys. The fact that we made toys in this amazingly creative and welcoming community came out of it is just so incredibly special. And it's a perfect example of what I said earlier about those magical things that happen. We couldn't have planned it to work this way. It just did. And whether we're talking about LegionsCon or the community as a whole, that is really the most special thing that I think that we've been able to bring into the world. The fact that I talk to people and they tell me how much my weekly show means to them. You know, it cracks me up whenever I meet somebody and their significant other is there and they'll say to me, like, it's so weird to hear you speaking in person because I'm so used to hearing you through like the speakers of my TV. That comment never gets old to me. So those were some of the stories that we heard this week. You know, we heard about some people that had experienced some recent losses, and being able to come to LegionsCon was cathartic for them. You know, obviously, you know, Dennis Hughes and Scott Ball, you know, those are two notable people that, and they're just two of many, I'm sure, but they're two that come to mind whose presence was absolutely felt at LegionsCon this past weekend or last weekend. So for people to be able to come and find that sense of comfort that's one of the things that definitely touched me over the weekend.
Yeah, agreed. To see the Dennis's brothers there as well this weekend, just being able to give them a great big hug was amazing. We have a couple of people in the chat that I wanted to
I also had something to pull up too.
Okay. Honestly, most toy communities just really toxic and have bad relationships with the creators. Pretty sure. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted. Sorry. This one. Sorry. Omar Munez. When I parked, I was hugged by Schmerber right away and didn't even get into the building for my first LegionsCon. It was the start of an amazing weekend.
You know, I've seen Omar make that exact same comment. He might have made it on my show last week as well, and I didn't call it out, but I saw it. Like, I read it, and it immediately like made me happy because Schmerber was someone who, like, that story Omar just told, that was Greg's story a few years ago. You know, Greg tells that story kind of in the LegionsCon documentary that we put together, where, you know, he goes to his first and he's kind of feeling his way around and, you know, really getting used to it. And he feels that sense of community. And then that next year when he shows up and everyone's calling his name and he's like, wow, you know, I belong here. And it's absolutely incredible. I love the fact that Omar had that experience and was able to share it.
This touches my heart as well. Mm-hmm. Our boys want to go with us next year. Yeah. I mean, the fact that it's a show that is family friendly, that all the kids want to go to, they want to be there during all of the stuff. And I mean, you know, so many kids running around and just loving the show, loving the toys. That to me just touches my heart.
And that's important. You know, fantasy, like many genres, can run the gamut, you know, and there's a lot of fantasy that's much more adult oriented, and it's great. Like, I can appreciate all of that. But since the beginning, you know, Eric, who is, you know, has always been the lifeblood of the Legion's lines, as Eric drives this ship. And, from the beginning, it was like, no, this is a family friendly line. The people, and we've had people in the past request like blood soaked figures and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it's just not for us. That's just not what we want to do in this line. We always say, like, whenever we talk to, say who I can say here, when we talk to people who are interested in knowing more about what we're doing, we always say the level of, kind of violence is like Marvel Universe. It's like, that MCU level of violence where, yeah, people are going to get knocked around. There's going to be some blood. It's fantasy. I mean, I cut some heads off in the book that I wrote and stuff. So there's definitely some battles that happen and some people die, but it's the way that it's actually presented. We want it to be palatable. We want this to be family friendly. And I agree with you that seeing those kids run around, seeing people want to bring their kids and feel safe bringing their kids, that's absolutely important. And it's something that we impose on all the other exhibitors as well. Like we won't let, for instance, like topless female sculptures be sold at the show. And some people have said that we're prudish for not allowing that. And whatever, say what you want. If I'm walking around with my 6-year-old son, I don't want to have to explain to them what that is. It's just, you can do it. Absolutely. I have no problem with you doing that custom. I'm sure it's very well done. I just don't want to see it on the floor at LegionsCon for that particular reason.
Yeah, I agree. And then Jesse, I could not have been in a better place to hear, accept, and process the news that I got during Friday's setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse, that was strong for making it through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. I feel like we made friendships here in days that we have never imagined having in years. You guys are our people and family. Yeah.
And I love that, and it goes both ways. We've had other times where like people are critical of some of the things that we do. We're talking about the Barbarian, there was a lot of criticism about the Barbarian sale drop last week. And, we are doing our best to make the best decisions we possibly can for the company and for the community. But yeah, there are going to be times in this particular case, we completely underestimated the demand for that particular figure. We're going to figure out what we can do to help meet that demand in the future, but we can't change the decision that was already made. So, there are times where it kind of cuts both ways, where we are very front and center. Like members of our studio are actively in the community chats and answering questions and participating. So you've seen when people will be, I don't want to say overly critical, but there are some times where the criticisms border on attacking us and our integrity and things like that. And a lot of our fans will come to our aid and they will say like, that's not fair or something like that. And then, you see people, there's that back and forth about, being brainwashed and all that stuff. And it is a challenging environment sometimes to deal with that. But at the end of the day, it's all worth it because that environment that we've created to be part of this community. There's a lot of creators. I've spoken to a lot of creators that are like, no, we don't engage with our fan community because it is too toxic. We can't take seeing some of that stuff. And we never want to be that. Like we want to be front and center as part of this group.
Right. Well, I think with the Cabal and I think that there are times when, people are like, you're defending the company that, but, they're not really, being fair or whatever. But we're like, no, you don't understand. They know their fan base. They know who we are. They see us. We know them. There's a difference in the fact that, like, I feel comfortable going up to you at a show and talking to you and knowing you. I feel comfortable going up to Eric and talking to him at a show and knowing him. Yeah. I feel very comfortable going up to Cornboy, Jim, all of you, and talking to you and having a conversation. You guys are so open and so welcoming to everybody. And you guys go out of your way a lot to show your fans and show the fans of your line that you guys are as much a part of this community as we are. Yeah. So I feel like when you're defended, it's not that we're defending you as, we're just talking. It's that we know that you take care of us as fans.
And we try. And we very much try. I mean, again, we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes along the way. And we are open to hearing that criticism and stuff. What I take exception to is like when people say this company's not your friend. It's a company customer relationship. If you think that you're friends, you're kidding yourself. You're wrong. Our fans are our friends. I'm very, very good friends with many people who, in a traditional sense, would be considered customers. It's just not true. So that I think, and the other thing that I don't love to see is when somebody offers a legitimate criticism and somebody disagrees with that criticism, the pushback that, oh, you're just defending them because you're a fanboy, you're a sycophant, you're brainwashed. Like, people can, like, you can have your opinion and people can disagree with that opinion and not be like on the company payroll. They don't have to be a sycophant just because they disagree with you. So those are all some of the more frustrating days that I have. But at the end of the day, bringing it around, I wouldn't trade this community or these people or these conversations for the world. We are so incredibly fortunate. We say all the time, the worst day at Four Horsemen Studios is a pretty darn good day anyway.
That's right. The worst day at LegionsCon is a pretty darn good day anywhere.
Right?
I would say so. And again, I'm happy that the show has meant so much to so many people. We've said this before, but to hear people like Robo, for instance, who, until a couple of years ago was very much outside of the Legions community, to hear him talk about this being his favorite con of the year and how he looks forward to it. And that's amazing. Like, to people that are outside of the sideshow guys, people that come and just realize what a unique type of event it is. And they can't find it anywhere else. You can't replicate what we've created at LegionsCon. It is so unique. That it warms my heart when people experience it and have that kind of feelings towards it.
Yeah. Amber, do we have a
few super chats.
Oh, great.
We have one from G. Four Horsemen and the community are the best. You all show my family lots of love.
Oh.
I don't know if any of you guys have had the pleasure of going to the Echevarria household. But if you ever get the opportunity, you say yes and you go, because they're whole family. They're just, you just want to pick them up and squeeze them. They're wonderful.
G's always one of the people that I tend to see right towards the end of the day.
Oh no. He's frozen. Come back to us.
Come back, Jeremy. Oh, and it was going to be a good story too.
It was going to be good. I hope he's not still telling us. We'll just go to the next super chat while we wait for Jeremy. From Ed. Thank you, Four Horsemen and the community, for creating happiness at LegionsCon and beyond. Ed, you're a wonderful human.
You are. Thank you so much.
Another super chat. Curtis Ackerman. Hey, look, it's 3 of my favorite people. 4 if you count Stacy Linland's floating head. We always count Stacy Linland floating. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, he'll jump back in.
Yeah, he'll be all right. I also wanted to pull up a comment too. Hold on, I gotta scroll back up.
Okay.
Oh, how far? Oh, here we go. From Cullen, breaking news: 2025 Cabal Cares Toys for Tots Holidays fundraiser just now posted in the Cabal. It's pinned to the top.
And you're going to want to participate in that because it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. There he goes. We knew you'd come back.
Yes. I made it. I made it pretty far before my computer crashed this week. Last week was crashing nonstop, but no, but what I was saying was I always, it's weird. The last couple of years, it seems like I've seen G and his family like right towards the end of Sunday at LegionsCon, and that goodbye to G, he always gets very choked up, and it's always an emotional kind of moment, and I can see the pure joy and just like the overwhelming sense of camaraderie and community that he felt that weekend. So that's always something that I remember every LegionsCon.
We have another super chat from Omar. This is the first time I have ever watched Legions Ladies live. You are great and have a new fan. Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe. Awesome. We're trying to hit 1,000.
Yes, please do. Yes, please do.
We love you.
He left teary-eyed. Poor little thing.
He did leave a little teary-eyed.
And then when he gets teary-eyed, then you get teary-eyed. Now everyone's crying.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a spiral.
So we know we had Sweden. We know we had Welsh, Luxembourg, England, Spain. Where do you know how many other countries we had representation from?
Dub went over it last week during one of my freezing spells where I lopped off, but he went through like the places that he heard people were from. Someone said Australia. I mean, it's amazing that a show of this size has attracted the amount of people we have from all these different countries. It's genuinely a very international affair. The fact that like on Wednesday, there were like 8 people from the UK all hanging out in the lobby that had all come mostly had all come separately. That absolutely incredible. Yeah. So Dub says there were 5 continent confirmed and potentially someone from Egypt to make 6.
Wow.
Potentially someone from, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Amazing. Yeah.
All right, friends, again, we are doing the giveaway, the Carver rules. We have the LegionsCon exclusive Carver Customs
torches.
It's coming. It's coming. I swear.
We need to get you like a little board so we could play Pictionary.
I know. Torches we are giving them away. You have to be on Legions Ladies Live in order to do the hashtag. Mm-hmm. If you've done that from Jeremy's channel, then it won't count towards the total. And we will be giving those away in just a few minutes. Wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to jump over to Legions Ladies Live and put in your hashtag to be sure that it counts towards the total. We would like to give those away tonight. So just make sure that you are on Legions Ladies Live, hashtag Carver Rules.
Awesome.
Okay. Jeremy, your weekend there's a lot going on. You've got you have a lot of stuff going on. This past LegionsCon, what was maybe your top 3 things that you absolutely loved? The things that you got to do that you had the most fun, or that meant the most, that you really enjoyed?
One thing that comes to mind, my family playing a much larger role in the weekend than they have in the past. So in previous years, in the main ballroom, we had the Legion shop table. And even though last year the Legion shop was technically closed, I still had some customs for sale, and my family ran that table. So they were very much like kind of separate from the Four Horsemen activities and so forth. This year, with the Legion shop table fully closed, and I wasn't selling anything at my table. It was purely for exhibit. Anything that I had sold in advance. My wife, daughter, and son still wanted to come, but my wife was very much like, well, if I go, I want to be involved. Like, I don't just want to go and walk around. I want to do something. I want to feel useful. So we said, okay, well, why don't you help us at checkout in the Four Horsemen room? You can help check out at the Armory experience. And it's funny because I basically just wedged them in there, I didn't really ask if it was cool. I just kind of said, hey, George, my family's going to come and run register. And they kind of gave me a little grief about it, and we're joking around about doing it. But after the fact, like Diego, who kind of runs that point of purchase system, he was so appreciative of them being there to help. And I loved being able to see them interact with the fans, interact with other members of the studio. Like, after the fact, I was talking to Eric, and, Eric's known my son for years because Jacob's been coming around since he was very young. He's talked to my wife a number of times, but he's never really engaged with my daughter. And he said he always thought my daughter was very quiet and shy. And my daughter's very much like me. Like, in my family, we're huge Harry Potter fans in my family, right? And my wife is a diehard Hufflepuff. My son as well. Holly and I are Gryffindors through and through. And she, like Eric was like, she's hysterical. She was like a firecracker and everything there. So seeing my family more engaged in the event and with Four Horsemen Studios was very important. I oftentimes feel like I live 2 separate lives. I have my life here in Rhode Island with my family, but the Horsemen, this company is my family as well. And I very much feel like that separation. So to have them there and be a meaningful part of that Horseman family was probably the thing I'll take away from this particular LegionsCon the most. Another thing that was a thing I'll remember is, people may not realize this, but we do a company dinner on Saturday night. So in the past, we used to leave, and we stopped doing that last year because we didn't like leaving the hotel for an extended period of time. So we rent a private space and we have it catered. And it's really our one time all week that we can all sit down together. But we're not usually all together because there's a very realistic sense of, after the day is done on Saturday, members of the warehouse crew have to run back to the warehouse to get more stock to bring to the show. So like last year, for instance, we did our company dinner, and all the warehouse crew was not there. This year, in part because people like my family were running registers and we had more people working, they were able to make that warehouse run Saturday afternoon around like 5-ish. So when it came to the actual like dinner that we had, the warehouse crew was like, yeah, no, we're not going to go. We got to do this. We got to do that. And we all went into the room. We started eating. And then I think they realized, they were like, hey, we don't actually have to go back to the warehouse. We can be part of this. So when we were all sitting there, we saw George and Cookie and Greg and Vern, we saw all of them walk into the room. It was a moment of like, oh, this is amazing. We're all here. We're all together. So that was very cool to see them come in as well. And again, another kind of togetherness type moment. Those are absolutely the two that come to mind. Kind of a funnier one was the two young ladies from the Nerdy Forge.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they walked up to me the first time, my brain like didn't know how to process what I was seeing, because they're dressed as characters that I created. They're the nymph and the churel, and they come up and they're literally off the wall, the two of them. They're so energetic. They're so friendly. They're so wonderful. They're so much fun. And, you know, they're going a mile a minute, and they're so excited, and they're dressed like my characters. So the interactions with those two all weekend, that was a lot of fun. They were definitely one of the hits of the con with their cosplay and just their overall attitude, and the fact that, talk about first timers, they only got into the line like 3 months ago. And to be able to come and make that big of an impact on the show was pretty darn cool. So those are three things that come to mind. On a personal level, one thing that I thought was super cool was, you know, we had our LegionsCon exclusive figures, right? And even though I, you know, helped design all the figures this year, you know, Valgard and Scaphoid, the Legacies figures, yeah, I picked the parts and how they were going to look and everything, but they're Valgard and Scaphoid, right? It's like, you know, I'm working with existing type stuff. I'm trying to, okay, how are we going to create this? And then the brand new heads, that's obviously Eric sculpted those. So I had a hand in that, but the Crossroads were things that I very much created, like the whole story, everything. It was very much kind of my babies there. And I'm super proud of them. I fully expected that Valgard and Scaphoid would be like the more desirable figures. The fact that the Crossroads figures, both of them outsold, and they all sold amazingly well, but the fact that it outsold the like existing Legacies figures, and the fact that the Revenant Warrior actually sold out at LegionsCon, just at a personal level, that kind of sense of clarification of how cool those figures were was personally gratifying.
Yeah, they were amazing, and I'm so excited to have those in hand.
Yeah, very much love
them. Another thing that happens every LegionsCon, you and Eric walk the floor when nobody's there, so that Eric can actually see all the stuff that is on the floor.
I love that.
So how was this year's floor?
It was great. It was great. So we did that Friday night. We kicked all the exhibitors out at 10 o'clock out of the room. We locked the doors, and once again, we just walked the floor to be able to see everything. And it took us, it was almost midnight by the time we were done. So it was about an hour and 45 minutes that it took us to walk that entire floor. So it's not like we just cruise through there with a cursory glance and leave. We spend some time. And yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's invigorating. It's energizing to see all that creativity in that space. And to be able to walk around, I've said this before, but you know, this is Eric's world. To be able to walk around with Eric and have him see all of these people who are, you know, putting their own spin on Eric's world is just incredibly gratifying, to be around a creator of Eric's caliber and to see him experiencing what he's put out into the world and how it's taken on a bit of a life of its own. So it was cool. There was a bunch of cool things. Like Tanya, I mentioned that, you know, the Kiss figures that were in your display were notably one of the things that he pointed out being very, very excited about. So always a highlight of the show for me is that walk around with Eric.
Yeah, it's so cool. And Kevin got to talk to Eric right before. I know he spoke to you, and Cornboy came by the table as well, and we got to talk to him. But Kevin did get to see Eric out in the hall before we went up one night. Maybe it was Sunday night, and got to talk to him about them. But yeah, those were fun. They're definitely a lot of photographs. Around of those 4 figures.
as one can expect. Yeah. It's definitely great to be able to walk around and see everything, because I know so many people. I mean, everyone puts so much into their displays. So to let people, to be able to tell them, like, yeah, we absolutely, the creator of Legions himself looks at all this stuff and appreciates all these creations. That's certainly important.
Yeah, I think that's, again, one of the amazing things about LegionsCon itself is the creator of all of this stuff. The owners of the company, you yourself, not only running LegionsCon, but also sales and marketing, plus all of the people that work at Four Horsemen are there for the fans to go up and talk to and be able to interact with, and are just amazing. Sherry joining us on Thursday night for our show is fantastic. Of course, she's over there going, can't say anything. But she is reveals. Yeah, but she is amazing. And I try real hard not to say anything that will make, that will cause her to say anything, because I know that the reveals on Friday are so special, and we don't want to mess those up. But
I feel like this year I had more overall time to talk to people. Like, I really felt so. Interestingly, we talked about my family running the registers. There was a point, because Jacob played in the featured role-playing game on the 3rd floor, and my wife and daughter really wanted to go see him play. They really enjoyed that last year, and this year he played with Pete from My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me, Darius, D Amazing, and Big Dub. So really fun group to play with. So that left a bit of a vacancy at the registers, and then Diego went to get something to eat. So I covered on the register for, I don't know, an hour and a half. And it was hysterical when people would walk into the room and see me on register. They were surprised. They were like, oh my God, you're on register. I think it was awesome. I love doing it, because you get some real time with people where they don't feel like they're interrupting you by stopping you in the hallway. Cause it's I'm ringing out all your stuff until I'm done. We've got this time to talk. But even in the hallways, people stop me. I felt like I had more time to really engage with people and have some good conversations. So that was also another highlight. And I'm looking forward to next year having even more time. Next year, I'm not even going to set up a table. This year was my 10-year retrospective. It's going to be the last year that I plan on doing a full display at the show, which will free me up to have even more time to be able to walk the floor and see people and have those conversations.
That's amazing. And I love my addition. Love my addition. All right, it is 9:30. Let's do our giveaway, and then we were going to hop off of here. Jeremy, we love having you.
I love being here. Thank you for having me.
All right.
We'll give it a 5-second countdown.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. We're rolling.
Who's going to win?
I love these. Oh, man.
Congratulations.
Woohoo! Phil Udwigson, 1069.
Yeah.
Congratulations. If you will reach out to me either through the Cabal or at aslan.creations on Instagram, give me your address and we will make sure to get those out to you. Again, through the Cabal at Tanya McCoy or through aslan.creations on Instagram. We will make sure that get those out to you. Awesome. Jeremy, again, I know that you gave up your spot for us tonight to be on here. We truly appreciate that. I love that we still got to talk to you after LegionsCon. It means the world to me.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me. It was a wonderful joy to speak to you. And I'm actually taking next week off because my annual next week is the day before Thanksgiving. So like I've done for many, many years, it's my annual watching of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So I will be taking a hopefully well-deserved Wednesday off to do that and spend some family time.
So you know what next Wednesday is, don't you?
I mean, other than my watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Yes. Next Wednesday is the very first Legions Ladies Live to ever air because you were not going to be on. So we chose that Wednesday to do our first show. So that will wrap up 2 years of Legions Ladies Live.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
It surprises me every time I think about it.
So my vacancy 2 years ago was the first Legions Ladies Live. And then here we are, the last show I get to be on right before that 2-year anniversary. So that's a nice little full circle moment there.
Yes, yes. And we are super excited to have you. To me, it means the world to have you on and talk about LegionsCon. I love that community. I love that show. It's so important for me to be there and to see all of the family and to actually get to hug Amber because I don't get to see her that often. So when I get to hug her and spend time
hopefully
with her.
this year, maybe 3 times, MesquiCon, CarverCon.
That's right. So we're hopefully we will get to see her more often this year. But to me, it comes full circle, and to have you on the show, the last show before our 2-year anniversary is amazing. So thank you for that as well.
I'm incredibly honored to be here. So thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for continuing to do this show and, put this positivity out into the world and, bring Legions and Legions ladies into the community's lives.
Well, we are super excited. Next week, we will tell you that we are going to have all of the ladies on to talk LegionsCon. We are super excited about that. Get their perspective of LegionsCon, so you will not want to miss it. And it will be on Thursday night instead of Wednesday next week. So make sure, or in 2 weeks. So make sure that you join us for December 4th, I believe is the date, to see all the ladies and hear all of the stories from LegionsCon from them. Awesome. And again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next show. Bye, everybody. Bye.